We're going to be doing problem number 2, which is the square root of x minus 5 plus x equals 7. And the first thing we do with this problem is minus x on both sides. And that then gives us x minus 5 equals 7 minus x. And since we have the square root over the x minus 5, we have to get rid of that. And in order to do that, we have to square both sides, which then gives us x minus 5 equals 7 minus x, and another 7 minus x. And since the 7 minus x is a double bubble, we have to solve for that first, which then gives us x squared minus 14x plus 49. And then we have to bring down the x minus 5. And then we will move the x minus 5 over to the x squared minus 14x plus 49, which then gives us x squared minus 15x plus 54. But we need to make the x minus 5 a 0. And since now this is a quadratic equation, we have the option of either completing the squares, doing double bubble, or using the quadratic formula. But in this case, we'll be using the double bubble, which means that we have to find two numbers that add up to negative 15x and multiplies to get positive 54. And those two numbers are negative 9 and negative 6. And because our roots cannot be in the form of x minus 9 and x minus 6, we then have to change it to 6 and 9 only, because those are the roots. And now we have to plug in 6 and 9 to the equation to see if either one of these numbers are extraneous. So we'll be doing 6 first. And in the equation, that will look like the square root of 6 minus 5 plus 6 equals 7. And 6 minus 5 is 1. And the square root follows the 1. Plus 6 equals 7. And since the square root of 1 is always 1, we will just change that to a 1. And bring down the plus 6 equals 7. And 6 plus 1 is 7. So 6 is not extraneous, it works out perfectly. And now we have to plug in the 9 to the equation, which would look like the square root of 9 minus 5 plus 9 equals 7, and 9 minus 5 equals 4. And bring down the square root, and bring down the plus 9 equals 7. And the square root of 4 is 2. And you bring down the plus 9 equals 7 again. And 9 plus 2 equals 11. So 9 is extraneous, meaning it does not equal to 7. So now the answer to this problem is 6, because again, 9 is extraneous and does not equal to 7.